They say time heals all wounds. But in the NFL, time doesn't heal, it erases. 18 years. That's how long Aaron Rodgers was the Green Bay Packers. The face, the arm, the legend. And the man who turned Lambeau Field into a cathedral for quarterback greatness. But this past Sunday, Rodgers wasn't in green and gold. He wasn't the homecoming hero. He was the enemy. For the first time in his career, Rodgers looked across the field and saw his old team celebrating without him. All week long, he said it wasn't personal, that it was just another game. But deep down, everyone knew that was a lie. Because when you've built an empire brick by brick and then watch someone else take the throne, that's never just another game. This is the story of Aaron Rodgers' emotional, brutal, and strangely poetic night against the team that defined his entire legacy, and how it exposed the truth about where his career really stands. Before Pittsburgh, before the gray beard and the weary look in his eyes, there was Green Bay. And in Green Bay, there was only one rule. As long as Rodgers was there, they had a chance. He wasn't just a quarterback. He was a myth in motion. 4 MVPs, a Super Bowl title, countless comeback drives that looked impossible until he made them look easy. He could drop a football on a dime, 50 yards downfield, in the middle of a snowstorm. He didn't just play the game, he rewrote it. The back shoulder throw? That was Rodgers. Pre-snap reads so advanced defenses didn't know what hit them? Rodgers. But behind all the brilliance, cracks were forming. He wanted more input, more control. Green Bay wanted the future. And then came the move that changed everything. Drafting Jordan Love. Rodgers didn't hide his disappointment. That draft pick wasn't just a decision, it was a message. The Packers were saying, your time's running out. So he made his. First a detour through New York, now Pittsburgh. A veteran stopgap, they called it. But Rodgers didn't come to hold a clipboard. He came to prove the story wasn't over. Only problem, you can't rewrite history if the league's already moved on. The NFL lives for drama, and this was pure cinematic gold. Rodgers, the Packers, the reunion. Everyone wanted to see. Every headline screamed revenge game. Every podcast debated, would Rodgers torch his old team? Every fan, every former teammate watching closely. But Rodgers, calm as ever. Not personal, he said. Just football. Yeah, sure. You don't spend 18 years with one franchise, break every record in their books, and then pretend it's just another game. The truth, Rodgers has always been calculated. He knows what to say and what not to say. But his silence was telling. He didn't trash the Packers, didn't fuel the headlines. He let his body language do the talking. Pre-game, he shook hands with trainers, hugged old staff members, smiled at a few players still wearing that green and gold. But when kickoff came, the smile was gone. He wasn't looking across at friends anymore. He was staring at ghosts. And those ghosts were wearing Packers jerseys. From the opening drive, Rodgers looked like vintage Rodgers. Quick reads, laser throws, total command. He marched the Steelers up the field, again and again. 4 scoring drives in the first half. The crowd roared. Pittsburgh led 16-7. It felt like the script was writing itself, the old master teaching his former team a lesson. But then came the familiar problem: execution. 3 of those drives ended in field goals, not touchdowns. Rodgers knew it. You could see it. The tiny headshake after each stalled drive. The same frustration that haunted his last few years in Green Bay. Then the switch flipped. Jordan Love started to heat up. Completion after completion. Calm, confident, surgical. At one point, he tied a Packers franchise record, 20 straight completions. A record once held by the man standing on the other sideline. The Green Bay offense was rolling. Pittsburgh's defense, gassed, confused, overmatched. By the time the fourth quarter arrived, Rodgers' magic had run out. Punt, field goal, punt, fumble. The crowd went quiet. And for the first time in his legendary career, Rodgers looked mortal. Football has a cruel sense of poetry, and this game might have been its most poetic chapter yet. Jordan Love wasn't supposed to become that guy this fast. He was supposed to still be the kid who replaced Rodgers. But on this night, he wasn't in anyone's shadow. He was carving his own. Everything Rodgers used to be, the calm, the confidence, the clutch factor, Love displayed it all. His accuracy was elite, his decision-making flawless. It was as if he'd absorbed the best parts of Rodgers' game and added his own flair. Meanwhile, Rodgers looked tired, not just physically, but emotionally. Every throw seemed heavier, not just the ball, but the weight of expectation. When the final whistle blew, the scoreboard told the truth Rodgers didn't want to admit. Packers 35, Steelers 25. Afterward, they met at midfield. A quiet handshake, a short hug. Love smiled, asked for a signed jersey. Rodgers smiled back, said a few words. Respect, legacy, transition. But deep down, that moment symbolized something bigger. The torch had officially been passed. On paper, Rodgers' night didn't look awful. 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But numbers lie. Because stats can't capture the tension, the pressure, the sense of finality that hung over every throw. Rodgers wasn't the issue, but he also wasn't the savior. And that's the hardest pill for legends to swallow, realizing that their greatness can't fix everything anymore. Pittsburgh's offense moved the ball but couldn't finish drives. The defense, expensive, star-studded, couldn't force a single turnover. And the penalties, brutal. A 15-yard mistake by DK Metcalf killed a late drive. A Kenny Gainwell fumble sealed the game for Green Bay. Rodgers' post-game tone said it all. Disappointment, not anger. He's seen this movie before, just with different uniforms. I didn't play good enough. We didn't play good enough. Translation, this team has more problems than I can fix. And that's the brutal reality, the one no athlete wants to face. Sometimes greatness isn't enough. Rodgers joined Pittsburgh to win, but deep down, both sides knew the truth. This was a one-year bet. The Steelers get leadership, experience, a spark. Rodgers gets one more shot at glory. But now, the flaws are showing. A defense that looks lost, an offense that can't finish drives, and a legend who can still play, but can't carry. Inside the Steelers' locker room, whispers have already started. Is Rodgers sticking around after this season? Can he mentor a new QB? Or is this the final chapter before the curtain falls? Even Rodgers knows his days of defying time are numbered. The mind is still elite, the arm is still sharp, but football is cruel to aging stars. The game moves on, with or without you. And for the first time, Rodgers isn't chasing records. He's chasing relevance. When the final whistle echoed through the stadium, Rodgers didn't storm off. He didn't throw his helmet. He just walked. Slowly. Silently. Past the cameras, past the fans. One last look at the Packers sideline. A team celebrating the same way he once did. His legacy is untouchable. 4 MVPs, a Super Bowl, a highlight reel that will live forever. But legacies don't rewrite themselves. You either evolve or you fade. He came to Pittsburgh searching for one last chapter. But sometimes the hardest truth in sports is knowing when the book is already closed. Because in this league, the crowd doesn't cheer for what you were. They cheer for what's next. And on Sunday night in Pittsburgh, what's next might have already arrived, wearing a Packers jersey. Jordan Love didn't just beat Aaron Rodgers. He replaced him in every way that matters. And for the first time, Rodgers wasn't the story. He was the memory.